show their heads.
Is that right?
Is what right?
Twin forces showing their heads, and then Dark Shadow isn't very good, is it?
Peter, I'd be awfully grateful if you'd remember your job is to take down what I dictate. When I need a collaborator, I'll tell you.
Sorry.
All right, say, the twin forces of liberalism and nationalism had not yet begun to make themselves felt. And cross out dark. Say shadow. The King of Naples sat securely on his throne, as yet unsuspecting of the tremendous stirrings.
My God, it was the Home Secretary after all.
What?
Do you remember? I said I thought it was the Home Secretary who did it, and then I thought it was too obvious, so it must be his mother. Well, it turns out it was the Home Secretary after all. Carstairs had been blackmailing him, you see, because before he was Home Secretary, he'd stolen an Etruscan
Damn you, John! How the hell do you expect me to do any work with you interrupting me every second?
I haven't interrupted you every second. I've hardly interrupted you at all.
Well, shut up, damn it.
Thought you'd like to know who did it. I think it's very funny being the Home Secretary.
It's not the least funny, just shut up. Where was I?
As yet unsuspecting of the tremendous stirrings that were later.
That were later to make themselves felt.
You can't say that. The twin forces made themselves felt in the last sentence.
God damn it!
Sorry.
It's all right. It's not your fault.
If it's my presence that's disturbing you, I can easily go somewhere else.
You can't go in the dining room because they're getting it ready for the party. And your room has been made into a place for hats and coats.
I presume there's a vacant closet somewhere.
Don't be an idiot, John. Sit down. It's my fault. I can't seem to think straight this afternoon. My brain's gone ossified.
Of course.
What do you mean, of course?
It's all this going on the wagon that's done it. It's terrible what it does to the brain.
How would you know about that?
I knew someone else once who went on the wagon. Which reminds me, may I?
Of course. Never known you asked before.
Your abstinence has made me rather self-conscious. You went mad.
Who did?
That other man I knew who went on the wagon.
I'll go and type this stuff out in my room.
There's no need to do it now.
It'd be a good thing to get it done before the party, don't you think? Then we'd be all set to start off again tomorrow.
All right. Might be a good idea. Oh, Peter, is Helen coming in this afternoon?
She didn't say anything to me about it. Why?
I thought you were having dinner with her.
I am, but I'm meeting her at the Brasserie.
At the what?
At the Brasserie Universelle. I'll shoot the stuff into you before I go
God.
out. So long.
I'll bet you any money you like our dear little Peter has forbidden Helen from coming round here anymore.
And why should he do that?
Well, he's not over bright, but even he must have noticed the things she's got about you. No, Helen, he said to her, no, you mustn't go round there anymore. He's a naughty, wicked man, and he'll take advantage of your innocence and purity. Have you, by the way?
Have I what?
Taken advantage of our innocence and purity?
You know, sometimes I wonder why I don't kick you out of this flat right on your ear.
Now, what am I to take that answer to mean? That you have, I suppose.
No, I haven't, damn it.
Isn't that extraordinary?
Oh, do you think so?
Well, I thought she was your type. Fair-haired, snub-nosed, ingenue. She's my type, anyway.
Oh, well, I'm sure she'd be glad to know that.
Oh, come, come. You ought to be able to think of a better comeback than that. This giving up drinking hasn't done you any good at all.
It's made me realise what bores some people are anyway.
Everyone's a bore unless you drink.
No, not everybody.
Everyone. Now, Helen's quite a nice little girl, apart from the fact she's what Huxley so daintily calls pneumatic. She's got some semblance of a mind, and that's a rare combination. She applies her mind in the wrong way, of course, like all of her dreary generation. After 2 weeks alone with her, one would probably go quite mad and kill her. Still, the fact remains she's too good for Peter. In fact, I can't think of a better compliment to pay her, or you, than to say that she deserves to be your girlfriend.
I'm serious, John. You're beginning to bore me to such an extent that I'm liable to do something really stupid if you don't stop.
Why? What have I said? It doesn't seem possible. But evidently it's true all the same.
What the hell's that supposed to mean?
Are you two having what are popularly known as words?
Oh, no, just chatting amiably over this and that.
I don't believe you. You've been annoying my glamorous husband. I can see it in his face.
It's his conscience that's brought that blush to his cheeks, not I.
You be careful, John. I'm not going to have you annoying my little David. He means a lot to me.
About 5,000 a year.
7 when the dividends are good.
I hope you're putting a lot by. You're not as young as you were once, darling, and you never know when some gay, fresh-faced interloper might oust you.
Helen, for instance.
Helen, for instance.
Oh, I don't worry, darling. Only hanky-panky and I fly to my lawyers.
You do pretty nicely on alimony.
Not only alimony, darling. Enticement. I should lead a lovely life in the south of France as a rich and glamorous divorcee.
That'd be heaven. Then I could spend 6 months with you and 6 months with David.
Oh, don't worry. I wouldn't contest custody of you. Joan can have you 12 months in the year.
I should cry in court and you'd have to have me.
Oh, if that's Julia or someone, you'll have to cope, darling. I've got to go out.
No, I can't cope with Julia Brown sober.
But I've got to go out. I'll be back in a minute, though. I've only got to pop across the street to Woolworths to buy some glasses for party.
I wish we could put it off. If you knew how I hated the thought of it.
Oh, I know, darling. It must be terrible having to go through a party without drinking. Why don't you go off the wagon just for tonight?
No. No, I won't do that. I'll just have to face it, that's all.
Miss Banner is here, madam.
Oh, right. Williams, show her in here. Peter said she wasn't coming round today.
Peter apparently doesn't know everything.
Miss Banner.
Helen, darling, lovely to see you.
I'm afraid this is an awful time to drop in. You must be all upside down arranging for the party tonight.
Oh, that's quite all right, but I'm afraid I have to pop out to Woolworths before closing time. You will forgive me if I dash off, won't you? I'll be back in a moment.
Yes, of course. I'm terribly sorry.
That's quite all right. I don't know if Peter's in or out.
He's working in his room.
Oh, we'll get Williams to call him.
Oh, don't do that. You see, it's David I really came to see.
Oh. Oh, well, he's here all right. Aren't you, David?
I've got something to talk over with him. Business, you might call it.
Oh, well, in that case, it's just as well I'm going out, isn't it? See you later, Helen.
So long, Joan.
If you want to discuss business with David, you might get rid of that fat lump in the sofa by sending him through to the dining room to do some work.
She must have meant me.
Oh, no, John. How could she have possibly meant you?
Sarcasm in the young is most displeasing.
The dining room's that way.
You don't say.
What are you going to do in my room?
In case you'd forgotten, my room is being transformed into a convenience, so I'm going to use yours.
Well, don't steal anything.
All I'm going to do is lie on your bed and read such letters as you've left lying around. Steal anything? How dare you? Oh, well, I suppose it's my lot in life to be insulted.
Poor John. It must be an awful strain for him to keep finding things to say to make you laugh.
Don't be so depressing, Helen.
Sorry, David.
Well?
Well, I've read it.
You've been very quick.
I stayed up practically all last night reading it.
I gather from your silence you don't like it.
David, you did ask me to be absolutely honest, didn't you?
Certainly.
Then I'm afraid I have to tell you, I think it's very bad.
Oh.
It's terribly hard for me, David. I'd love to be able to say I thought it was good.
What do you think is wrong with it?
Everything.
Well, that's hardly encouraging, is it?
I don't mean it to be.
You'd like me to scrap it?
Yes.
Well-
Scrap it all together.
That's impossible. I've put 5 years' work into it.
No, you haven't. You've put a few weeks' work into it and spread it over 5 years. The trouble is in yourself, David, not in the book. Every fault in the book comes from your own laziness.
Would you mind being a little more explicit?
You haven't read the documents and things you ought to. So all you've written is a lazy undergraduate's essay, rushing over the things you haven't read up and stressing the things that aren't important simply because you do happen to know about them.
I didn't realise you knew so much about King Ferdinand of Naples.
I don't know a damn thing about him, and I wouldn't want to. He's a boring character anyway.
Well, you are hardly competent to judge then, are you?
I know bad work when I see it.
You're very clever.
Just clear-sighted, that's all.
Well, thank you very much for taking all this trouble. You've been very helpful.
Is that my cue to go?
I've got some things to do. I hope you don't mind.